One staple of the weapon lineup for the Monster Hunter series is the sword and shield, a modest weapon that has existed from the very beginning, the original Monster Hunter in fact. It's versatile, multifaceted, and yet still simple enough as to be friendly to new hunters. But at some point down the lineage, around 2013, someone, presumably under the influence of narcotics, decided that the simplistic nature of the sword and shield was an insult. That with more functionality and more complication, the sword plus shield formula would be enhanced to become so much greater. Make the sword twice as big, make the shield thrice as big, make it so that the two can be combined into a new weapon entirely, a huge axe-like weapon that the hunter swings violently around themselves, and that can slam down onto the ground, creating devastating explosions. And that creation is the subject of today's video. What we have here is the Charge Blade. Howdy y'all, welcome to the Agony of Gaming. My name is Kanani96 and today we'll be discussing something that was designed for hunters who feel that the monsters of this world just are no challenge for them and they wish that their weapon would fight them as well. Frankly, I don't know where to begin with this thing. If I had to pick one word to describe myself after my first time using this thing on last Sunday's stream, that one word would be befuddled. I have no idea how I'm going to make a video on this thing without it becoming a freaking half-hour long feature film. My goodness. Let us get the boring stuff out of the way. And I'm going to limit this to just a single page of script. You got a sword, and you got a shield, and you got an axe. You can switch between the two modes basically whenever. And if you want to be lazy, you can run into the hunt and just start swinging that axe all over the place. But then you'll have the Charge Blade purists yell things at you like, "Inefficient noob!" The reason for this is because fresh out the box, the Charge Blade doesn't accomplish much. It needs to be charged up, hence the name. The weapon's main resource for powering up or dealing damage is known as files. These files aren't conjured up from thin air like the shells of the gun lance. No, you have to make them your damn self. And the way you do this is by physically assaulting the monsters of this world. Or blocking their attacks. But most pros will whine like, "Don't block attacks because of, oh no, their sharpness." Run speed sharpening on your builds, nerds. It's only a level 1 slot, you could fit 3 of them somewhere. Or, alternatively, get rid of that weakness exploit necklace. You know you are not exploiting a damn thing. What were we talking about again? Oh yeah, files. You generate files with 3 different levels of charge. Yellow, red, and super red. Yellow will only get you half your files, unless you got the fully loaded skill, I forgot the name. But it's one I'm going to be using throughout this whole video because it's so useful, it's basically a requirement. Red will get you a full rack, and super red is there to punish you for not charging sooner, because when your sword is overheated, the hunter develops amnesia and forgets how to swing the thing. Unless you charge up the sword, which is a beautiful transition into the fun part of this weapon. There are three things the files are used for: charging the shield, dealing proper damage in axe mode, and the Ultra Element Discharge, which is a move that is as awesome as the name would suggest. Let's start with charging the shield because it's arguably the most important thing you should be doing. There are like 3 different ways of charging your shield, but my favorite is just pressing X plus A at the same time, and right in the middle of the 3rd animation, just pull the right trigger. Your hunter will stop that attack and charge the shield with your files instead. Make sure they are maxed out beforehand for a longer duration. There are like 2 other ways of doing this, but this one move is my favorite because it's very unga bunga and mindless. Having a charged shield opens the gateway to many different things, least of which being that the monster's attacks become slightly more blockable. So hooray for cowardice, I guess. But more importantly, now you can power up your sword. Oh, whoa, so you can power up the sword. What's the big deal? Well, Buster, let me break it down for you. The difference between a charged up shield and one that isn't is like being a god amongst men and being a scrub. And like the 90s R&B sensation TLC once said, I don't want no scrub. With a powered up sword, you can now swing that thing around as recklessly as you want, doing extra damage to boot. Toughest part of the monster? Doesn't matter. Overheated files? Doesn't matter. No sharpness whatsoever? Doesn't matter. So long as you forget that modifiers are a thing. Literally half damage Lamau. Next for file usage would be the axe mode. Oh boy, what's the best way to describe axe mode? Let's see, you deal a little more damage while having a significant movement penalty. Look, you can probably tell from the tone of my voice I don't really care for axe mode. With one exception though, the savage axe mode. Well, at least that was its name in Iceborne. I kind of forgot what it's called in Rise because I just call it the chainsaw. You have to choose between either this mode or wielding the power of Excalibur. Conveniently, it's activated the same way, and you still have to make sure your shield is charged, but by holding the X button upon landing an attack in axe mode, you will be dealing out extra hits that can actually pop off status ailments pretty damn effectively. This mode is hotly debated with the Charge Blade fanboys, especially when talking about the meta. Just ignore all that crap and ask yourself one thing. Do I want to be freaking awesome? If the answer is yes, chainsaw is what you need. Alright, the moment you've all been waiting for. I mean, I guess, I'm not a psychic or anything. The Ultra Element Discharge. This is a super big brain move. This requires like 2 whole things that must be done beforehand. It is ridiculously complicated. You gotta have a charged shield and some files, preferably all the files. Such a high skill ceiling is truly absurd. Luckily, Papa K is here to simplify things. If you will recall to earlier in the video when I suggested pressing the X plus A buttons 3 times in a row and then canceling it to charge your shield. Well, if you already have a charged shield and a bunch of files, all you gotta do is spam the X plus A buttons a bunch, without canceling of course, and your hunter will perform the most powerful single attack of the Charge Blade can muster. Now, the only way of dishing out that move is pretty simple though. But unless you can convince the monster to stand still for like about 7 seconds while you're doing this combo, the move is pretty damn hard to land. Surprise, surprise, the monsters aren't big fans of death or dismemberment, so they are prone to relocation. If you find yourself facing a monster that is comparatively small or never stops playing the floor is lava, I swear to God, Rathalos, if you don't get down here this instant, then there is one move to rule them all, the Axe Hopper. With the cost of a single wire bug, your hunter will slam their weapon onto the ground and leap into the air. From there you have many options at your disposal. But let's be honest, all we really want is the Ultra Element Discharge. Am I right, or am I right, my gamers? The best part is all you need is a wire bug, some files, and you can just do this all day while being the flashiest thing the monster's ever seen and dealing surprisingly competitive damage. So long, Insect Glaive, there's a new aerial weapon in town. There's no hiding the fact that the Charge Blade is a lot. Anybody, without even making a build, can grab a greatsword, press and hold the X button a few times, and deal incredible damage, which is just not a thing with the Charge Blade. If you had watched my first stream using this thing, I was a disaster, but luckily I had a dedicated viewer to guide me in the stream chat and tell me what I was doing wrong. Blocking with this thing just disintegrates your sharpness. By day 2, I was doing things a little less wrong. How How did none of that hit? Oh, it must have been the little rock. That's nonsense. And by day 3, I even started doing some things pretty right, to where the same viewer told me I had gotten noticeably better. And that growth is something I haven't experienced with any other weapon. I accidentally charged my shield up twice. That means I get twice the duration, right?
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. It's kind of ironic that it's the biggest selling point of the Charge Blade. When you first pick it up, you are going to suck. But once you get over that, you're going to feel a sense of accomplishment that won't be felt with any other weapon. I would like to sincerely thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing if you haven't done so already. This weapon is so damn intricate. I know there were things I didn't mention, but I'm well past 1,700 words at this point, and I had to stop somewhere. The guard points. Your hunter will put the shield in front of them when changing forms after certain combos, and in that brief moment, you can block attacks, which I never did that crap on purpose. It was always an accident, but it was super nifty when it did happen. And I didn't bring up the other Silkbind skill, Counter Peak Performance. It's essentially a super block that fills up your files, which is incredibly useful for just insta-files. As soon as any monster attack, just insta-files. I can snap, I promise. However, that viewer I mentioned earlier said that blocking was for cowards, so I never used it. He also said that eating was for cowards, which may have just been a roundabout way of telling me I'm fat. I mean, you're not wrong, but you don't gotta point it out like that, man. This is gonna be my longest video yet. Thankfully, I'm doing the dual blades next, and that video is only gonna be like 2 minutes long. So until then, this is not goodbye for good. Just goodbye for now. Food is for the weak. Oh, thanks for the encouragement. Oh, where'd he go? Oh my god. Wow, that Zenogre hammer looks cool. That was my healing bubble. I saw it first. No! Dang it. Oh, man. Off to a fantastic start. Well, you were right. Now I can eat. Oh man, not going well for me.